we'll go ahead and start the meeting as of 9:03. And Mr. Carlton, would you like to call roll?
Yes. Good morning, everybody. PA Crosby,
Present.
PA Gottschalk, PA Bulls, PA Klarner, Dr. Ho,
Present.
Dr. Hughes,
Present.
PA Longoria, Mr. McElhaney,
Present.
Dr. Rowan,
Present.
PA Sauer,
Present.
and Ms. Shipley.
Present.
Okay, we have 6 of our 11 appointed positions. We have a quorum and may proceed.
So I'll remind everyone what our mission is. Our mission is to protect and enhance the public's health, safety, and welfare by establishing and maintaining standards of excellence used in regulating the practice of medicine and ensuring quality health care for the citizens of Texas through licensure, discipline, and education. So in being conscious of our time, we're going to start with item number 7. Mr. Freshour, if you want to speak to that item.
And number 7 is that, which one is that?
So
I'm
that's the
sorry.
litigation update.
Okay, that's what I thought. I
Yeah.
don't really have anything overly pressing on this. We do have a couple of federal lawsuits. One's on some of the abortion litigation. They've sued us because we're the enforcement arm for the state. We received a lawsuit yesterday trying to enjoin the transgender bill. That was Senate Bill 14. As far as litigation related to enforcement actions, we have a couple of appeals of medical board cases that the board has been affirmed on what they did, but the licensee is appealing up to the Supreme Court, the Texas Supreme Court, in a couple cases. We don't know if the court will even hear those. For the PA board, Ms. Crosby, and nothing going up through on any physician assistants at this point that's going forward. So I think we're in good shape there. That's my report. I'll be glad to address anything specifically if you have questions.
Thank you, Mr. Freshour. Any questions from anybody on the meeting today? Okay, very good. Seeing none, we'll move on to item number 8. Dr. Doyle, are you on the call?
I am. Good morning. For the purposes of needing the quorum, I think there's only one case for your review. It was a case of a PA who was missing caduceus and AA meetings that were required as part of their Texas PHP monitoring agreement. The Texas PHP Governing Board has recommended that the participant remain with PHP. If you have any questions about it, I'm happy to answer, but it's your decision to make as a quorum.
Does anybody have any questions for Dr. Doyle regarding that case and their recommendation? Okay, hearing none, I would entertain a motion to approve Dr. Doyle and the PHP's recommendation for that case.
I'll make the motion to approve the recommendation by Dr. Doyle for keeping the participant as part of PHP.
Okay, we have a first and Dr. Hughes as a second. Any discussion? Okay, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say nay. And any abstentions? Okay, so thank you, Dr. Doyle, that your recommendation passes. Should we just go ahead and let her finish that portion regarding her report?
Well, if there's anything else that she needs action on,
Yeah.
then go ahead and move on to
Okay.
that. If not, if it's just the report from that point, we can come back to it.
All right, Dr. Doyle, we'll beg your pardon to come back to the other items under the PHP later if you can.
Of course.
All right, so item number 17, review and discussion of possible action regarding cases recommended for dismissal. Mr. Palazzola and PA Bowles was not able to attend a meeting today, so Dr. Ho has agreed to kind of step in on that. Or we can go on to the other one if you want.
There is one that's going to take some discussion on this one. So as we mentioned before, so we can do everything except that one. And again, we'll come back to it like with Texas PHP.
Okay. All right. Well, Dr. Ho is going to kind of assist with this agenda item for us today on behalf of the Discipline and Ethics Committee, since Mr. Bowles is not available. And we can just proceed through here as we normally would. The folks that are here today do have cases assigned to them. So we'll start with agenda item 17A, non-standard of care cases. And Mr. McElhaney, you did have, I believe, just one ISC dismissal assigned to you. Is there anything you would like to discuss about that one, or would you like to make a motion on that one?
No discussion needed. Motion to proceed with dismissal.
Okay. That's a motion to dismiss the item under 17A assigned to Mr. McElhaney. And Dr. Ho, if you want to call for a second and a vote on that.
Sure. Is there a motion on the floor?
Yes, Mr. McElhaney made a motion to approve the recommendation for dismissal.
Is there a second?
Dr. Rowan will second it.
All right, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor? Aye.
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 All opposed? We have a decision passes as per recommendation of Mr. McElhaney.
Thank you, Dr. Ho. I think the thing to do now would be to move on to Dr. Rowan's cases. And we'll come back to yours, Dr. Ho, in just a second, just because we've got one on your schedule that we are going to recommend that we come back to later in today's agenda. So, I believe, Dr. Rowan, you're the only other one with cases assigned to you other than Dr. Ho. Are there any cases assigned to you under agenda item 17, standard of care cases, that you would like to pull for discussion?
No, sir. I make a recommendation to grant dismissal of all cases I reviewed.
All right, there's been a recommendation on the floor for dismissal of all cases for Dr. Rowan. Do I hear a second?
Second.
And just to clarify, Dr. Rowan, is that recommendation in the form of a motion?
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. And there is I heard a second by Mr. McElhaney. So on to a vote. All those in favor to dismiss? Aye.
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 All opposed? Motion passed. Okay.
Okay. And then Dr. Ho, if we could take yours section by section,
Okay.
since we do have one to discuss. For the cases that are assigned to you, we did give you one this morning. I apologize for that. This is under cases assigned, standard care cases, cases assigned to Dr. Ho, the JNF file 23-5001. And I know the only thing we have in that file is the complaint, because this was dismissed without getting a response from the respondent. Have you had a chance to review that one?
I reviewed it yesterday, and it actually did not have the actual complaint, which I now see is uploaded. So I'm actually reading it right now. So let me just see this. Therapy. Okay.
And then, Doctor, on the rationale for the board staff's recommendation for dismiss, this is actually in the correspondence folder.
Okay.
In the letter we mailed to the complainant.
Yeah, I did read that.
Okay. And then your options on this one are to either approve the recommendation for dismissal by board staff, Or, you can recommend that this case not be approved for dismissal and then direct staff to get a response from the respondent. If you think that's necessary, you can discuss it with your fellow board members if you want to. If your direction is to just send it back to staff and not approve it for dismissal, then we can take that as direction without a vote.
Okay. Okay, my recommendation is after reading the complaint, is to agree with the board staff's recommendation to dismiss. After reading the complaint, I didn't find anything listed that would warrant any sort of a complete investigation. It just seems like they weren't very happy with the disposition of the PA in question, and saying that she's basically laughed at him and said it wasn't her problem. But I don't see an issue where there's I don't see anything of merit in this complaint regarding further investigation. So I recommend dismissal.
And
So
yeah.
there's a motion from Dr. Ho to dismiss this specific case. Can we get a second?
This is Sauer. I'll second.
Okay, any further discussion on the matter? Okay, all in favor say aye.
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 Any opposition or abstention? Okay, thank you, Dr. Ho. It passes.
Okay. And the next item under agenda item 17B, cases assigned to Dr. Ho, would be category B. And these are the filed investigations. So these cases did proceed through an investigation, and staff is recommending dismissal after completing the investigation. There are 8 in there. Are there any that, Dr. Ho, that you would like to pull for discussion, or would you like to make a motion?
None I wish to pull for discussion. I make a motion to accept a board review to dismiss all.
Okay, Dr. Ho made a motion. Can we get a second?
Dr. Rowan, second.
Okay, we'll let Dr. Rowan claim that one. Any further discussion? And if none, all in favor say aye.
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 Any opposition or abstentions? Okay, thank you, Dr. Ho. That case goes forward as you advised.
Okay, and the next section would be under 17B, would be section C, ISC dismissals. There is one there. And Dr. Ho, any discussion, or would you like to make a motion on that one?
I actually want a little bit of discussion on this one. And I don't know if we need to pull the charter. People can look at it. My question came back, the ISC dismissed, which I'm not questioning necessarily the dismissal, but I'm a little, my question was whether or not, I mean, this might be germane to the case, is they state that a document was included in discharge to the patient, basically stating that this patient got ivermectin for COVID, and they explained that they gave paperwork to them that stated that ivermectin is questionable, you can use it, not use it, blah, blah, blah. And they attached it, but they didn't attach it as part of the original file. They attached it saying that it was something we give them or whatever. It's a little nebulous as they actually gave the patient this. And that's kind of germane to the case. Is the complaint was that the complainant stated that the use of ivermectin was never explained to him fully, and even though it's questionable, he chose, I believe he chose not to take it. And then the respondent stated that, well, we tell everybody they have the choice one way or the other, and the complaint was basically that, well, they didn't tell us anything at all, and I'm glad I didn't take it. And that's my question. I'm not sure the documents just don't really state. They include it, but if you look at the way they included it, they requested the documents. 3 documents came in stating the records. Then a document separately came in showing that it's the one about the ivermectin. I mean, I'm not questioning whether ivermectin can or can't be used, and that's not. The question is whether or not they truly did what they said, which is did they include this with the patient's record or not? Because it doesn't look like they did. They just tacked it on at the end saying, oh, we have this, we give to everybody. And so I'm not sure if anyone on the ISC that was there considered that or looked at that, or if they were sure that was this document was given to the patient.
Dr. Rowan, I do
Yeah.
believe you were on the ISC panel, so yes, sure, go ahead.
Correct. Yeah, I was on the panel and we did address that. And ultimately, though, it comes down to a he said, she said type situation. And, the information was in the packet. The other thing, the germane to the point is that actually wasn't a complaint filed by the patient. It was a complaint filed by a competing doctor.
Yeah.
And that's what patient had no issue with with possibility of side effects and was willing to try it if he needed it. But the complaint came from a competing doctor that didn't think ivermectin should have been used.
All right, so it's very nebulous then. If the patient really didn't care and it was a person complainant, then I'm okay accepting the dismissal then.
Okay.
Take the case by case.
So we would,
accept the dismissal by the ISC.
so we have a motion from Dr. Ho. Can I have a second?
This is Sauer. I'll second.
Okay, thank you, PA Sauer. So any other discussion on the issue? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
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 Any opposition or abstention? All right, hearing none, the motion passes.
So Dr. Ms. Crosby, that leaves just one case in agenda item 17, and staff thinks that one may require some extended discussion.
Okay.
So if we want to move on to the next agenda item, we can
Yeah.
come back to this one. Thank you.
All right, very good. Thank you, Mr. Palazzo and Dr. Ho. Moving on to item number 19.
So
That's
may
also-
I interrupt real quick, Ms. Crosby? Just be clear that you're tabling the final discussion on 17 to a latter point in your
Correct.
committee meeting. Is that correct, ma'am?
Correct, and we will come
Okay.
back. We anticipate that being a little more lengthy, and we want to make
Yes.
sure we work through some other issues first.
I just want to make sure the public knows that it was tabled, but you're not done with that item completely.
Correct.
I think you explained it, but I think it's always good to be very clear.
Absolutely. Thank you very much. So moving on, Mr. Palazzo and Dr. Ho to number 19.
And these are the appeals. These are cases that have already been dismissed. They are kind of assigned to individuals for review, but obviously any board member can ask a question about any of these. We don't need to discuss them individually unless somebody wants to. We could just take a motion on all of them. But before we do that, I would ask, for any of the board members that had an appeal assigned to them, are there any that they would like to pull for discussion? So then I think Ms. Crosby or Dr. Ho, actually, it would be okay to call for a motion on these en banc to deny all of the appeals under agenda item 19.
Okay, so I will entertain a motion as stated by Mr. Palazzola if someone would like to basically embody that motion.
Dr. Rowan, I'll make a proposed motion to deny appeal of the requested complaints.
Okay, can we get a second?
This is Sauer. I'll second.
Okay, any further discussion on the cases for the motion? Okay, hearing none, all in favor say aye.
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 Any opposition say nay. And any abstentions? Okay, hearing none, that completes item number 19, which would then allow us to move on to item number 22.
I'm sorry, I have to abstain from, oh shoot, let me find that number. It was, oh wait, no, that's not this case. Never mind. Sorry, that's later on I have to abstain. Okay.
Okay, very good. So item number 22, which board staff would speak to that item?
Yeah, I can do
Mhm.
that. This is, these are orders that are presented for the board, and this is for the full board. These are the two orders that have been signed by the respondent, and we would just need a motion to approve the orders as submitted. Or if anybody would like to pull one for discussion, now would be the time to do that. And we don't need to do these individually. They can both be voted on together.
I'd like to make a motion to approve the orders as submitted, both orders.
Okay, we have a motion by Mr. McElhaney. Can we get a second?
Second.
Okay, Dr. Hughes, thank you very much. So any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
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 Okay, any opposition say nay. And any abstentions? Okay, so that concludes item number 22 and the motion passed. So moving on to item number 23, is this where you wanted to potentially abstain, Dr. Ho? Or recuse yourself?
I'm sorry, which one?
From number 23, you said there was a specific item later on, and I was thinking maybe that would be the
No, it's
item.
I'm finding it and I will let you know. It's, yeah, I believe it
Okay.
actually was on 19, but I'll let the board know. Thank you.
Okay, very good. Okay, so which board staff would like to speak to the remedial plans that have been submitted?
I can do that as well. These are very similar to the last agenda item. These are just remedial plans instead of orders, but the same thing. They have been signed by the respondent and they're presented today for approval. So if someone would like to make a motion to approve or somebody has a question about one, now would be the time.
Does anybody have any concerns about the cases that are presented for remedial plans? Okay, hearing none, we'll entertain a motion.
Make a motion to accept the remedial plans.
Okay, can we get a second?
This is Sauer. I'll second.
Okay, thank you, PA Sauer. So any further discussion? All right, all in favor say aye.
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 Any opposition say nay. And any abstentions? Okay, then the motion passes. So I think we can ask for, if anyone on the call is, or anyone on the meeting, I should say, is here for public comments, that we would like to call you forward now so that you can speak on any concerns that you may have. Anybody in the meeting for the purpose of making a public comment?
Not hearing any. Normally we'll just give another reminder in case you're on mute or you've just joined us by phone. We'll give you another few seconds to unmute yourself.
And I think it may even be reasonable at the end of the meeting, I think we could call again, but for the purpose, while we had a quorum, we wanted anyone who wanted the entire board to hear your concerns. We wanted to be able to have them come forward while the voting board members were present so they could hear those concerns. But I think it would be reasonable potentially again to revisit that item at the end in case someone joins the call late. So if there's no one here for public comments, we'll come back to number 34 again, maybe towards the end of the meeting. But for the purpose of continuing to move on, I think we'll go back to item number 17.
Did you want to vote on the meeting minutes?
We could.
For
we could do
35.
that. Oh yeah,
That
for
would-
sure. Thank you.
Sorry.
So did everyone review the minutes for our previous meeting in March? And did anyone have any concerns regarding those minutes? And if no concerns were present, I'll entertain a motion to approve those minutes.
I make a motion to approve the minutes of the prior meeting.
Thank you, Dr. Rowan. Can we get a second?
I'll second.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Ho. So all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed, say nay. And I don't think there's any abstentions. All right, thank you very
Thank you.
much for that. And we'll cross number 35 off the agenda. And now we go back to number 17.
Madam Chair Crosby.
Yes.
I found that case I need to recuse myself. It is under 17B standard of care cases to Dr. Rowan, C ISC dismissal, PA 230304. I will need to recuse myself from that case.
Okay. So if staff will note that, thank you, Dr. Ho.
And also we'll note that doesn't change the overall vote. There was a majority vote, even without Dr. Ho's vote, that the motion will be sustained as already recorded.
Thank you, Mr. Freshour. All right. Mr. Palazzola, would you like to kind of direct us on the remaining case?
Yes, ma'am. So case number under 17, agenda item 17B, cases assigned to Dr. Ho. Item D is a dismissal memo that's been drafted by the litigation department. Since this does involve issues that are going to include the advice of counsel, if somebody would like to make a motion to go in executive session, that would be a good time to do that.
I think, or Dr. Ho, go ahead.
I would make a motion to go into executive counsel. Executive session to discuss this case.
Dr. Ho has made a motion. Can we get a second?
Second.
Okay. So we will now be moving into executive session. Actually, we want to vote on it.
Yes.
So we have a motion. Can anybody want to discuss the idea of going into executive session? All in favor of following the motion to go into executive session, say aye.
Aye.
Okay. Anybody opposed to going into executive session? Say nay. Okay. So we will now be going. Yes, I've got it right here. We will now be going, at least I think I do. I had it on here. Yes. So we will now be going into executive session at 9:30. The physician assistant board may close the meeting to the public and continue an executive session for the purpose of following deliberation of the following reasons: deliberations concerning licensure applications or disciplinary action under the authority of the Occupations Code, Section 204.0585, private consultation of advice of counsel concerning pending or contemplated litigation settlement offers and or legal matters subject to the attorney-client privilege under the authority of the Open Meetings Act, Section 551.071 Government Code, and deliberations concerning personal matters under the authority of the Open Meetings Act, Section 551.074 Government Code. While in executive session, the board will not take any action, make any decision, or vote with regard to any matter that may be considered or discussed. A certified agenda of any executive session will be made. Okay, we're going to take a minute to just make sure that everyone who needs to be off the call or the meeting is removed, and then we'll start.
Yes. So we'll be utilizing breakout rooms as we've done in the past. For members of the public that are in the meeting, you'll see this screen that's currently on the screen for now. All the board members and essential staff will be swept over into a separate breakout room. And whenever executive session concludes, all the board members will be back into this main meeting area here, and we'll resume the meeting in open session. For now, I'm going to click the open button. It should take about 30 seconds for all of us to move over, and we can continue the meeting in executive session. Looks like everybody made it back over in my end, so we should be good to proceed.
Thank you very much. So the executive session ended at 09:53 on 7/14/2023. There was no final action, decision, or vote with regard to any matter considered or discussed in executive session. A certified agenda of the executive session was made. Mr. Palazzola, would you like to direct us back to item number 17?
Yes, Ms. Krause, we are on agenda item 17, section B, standard of care cases, cases assigned to Dr. Ho. And this is section D. Dr. Ho, would you like to make a motion on this one?
Just after careful consideration and a lot of consternation, I recommend dismissal of this case as recommended by the ISC and SOA.
We have a motion by Dr. Ho.
Second.
Second.
Okay, Dr. Hughes made a second. Any further discussion on this motion? All in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposition, say nay. Any abstentions? Okay, the motion passes. So I think the plan was to go back to item number 8 regarding PHP. Is Dr. Doyle still on the call?
I am. Hello.
Or the meeting? Thank you, Dr. Doyle. We appreciate your patience. We'll hear your report.
Sure. So there, the report on emergent referrals is just that there were no PA referrals made emergently. And then the last one is just our program activity report in your packet, and we're happy to answer any questions you have about that report.
Say generally, the program is still doing very well. And so they're doing an excellent job getting the participants in that contact and doing the intake interviews. And again, as everyone is aware, and I like to remind people still is, from where the program was a few years ago to today, things are in much better shape. And I think during our discussion yesterday, Dr. Doyle, we have about 84 or so participants currently. And we can talk about it a little bit more when we go back to the executive director report, but just to kind of highlight a little bit too, starting September 1st of this year, there will no longer be a charge for licensees to participate in Texas PHP. There will be a surcharge that we're still figuring out the exact amount, but it's no more than $15 per renewal for every 2 years. That will be assessed to every licensee, but it will cover the costs. So for those individuals that need the program, it's not going to cost them more than that $15 every 2 years to participate in it. They'll still have to pay any type of drug monitoring or anything they may need in addition to it. But as far as the service itself, it will essentially be a nominal fee going forward. So it was a lot of great work from Texas PHP and staff and being able to get that through.
Excellent. Well, I think PA Gottschalk is not on the meeting today, but she was one of the inaugural members of the kind of the original PHP board. And so I think that it's present upon all of us to remind our colleagues that that board exists for the purpose of each of us having a check and a balance and a path back to continuation of practice, or re-engaging in practice and avoiding some of those pitfalls that people can fall into, and that board is not punitive so much as it is supportive and sustaining for a lot of people. So thank you for the work that you guys are doing, Dr. Doyle, and appreciate you being on the meeting today. Any other questions for Dr. Doyle? Very good. Thank you, Dr. Doyle.
Thanks for having me.
So that completes item number 8. So Mr. Carlton, if we can just kind of take a quick review, I think that will complete the portions that we kind of laid out as being specific to needing voting. Is that kind of your purview too?
I believe so. Looking back at what we've gone through, I think we've voted on everything that needs to be voted on.
So,
At this point, it's reports and updates and then any direction to staff that may come from those discussions and reports.
very good. Okay, so I think that would take us back to, let me just make sure. I think we'll go back to item number 2. The board was made aware of Dr. Ahmad's passing recently, and he was a very active member of our board and also well respected as a practicing physician. And I know that was something that was not expected. So we would like to make a formal resolution regarding Dr. Ahmad's service to the board. So whereas the members of the Texas Physician Assistant Board wish to express appreciation for Steve Ahmad, MD's outstanding service on this board from August 17, 2020 to June 30, 2023. And whereas he gave unselfishly of his time and energy while serving on the board, and whereas he demonstrated compassion and professionalism while seeking to ensure quality health care for the citizens of Texas, and whereas his intellectual ability, personal strength, and deep commitment to the ideals of public service were unexcelled, and whereas he was an invaluable and enthusiastic member of the board and contributed his time and expertise, including serving on the licensure committee, now it be resolved that the members of the Texas Physician Assistant Board join together in honor and recognition of Steve Saeed Ahmad for his distinguished service, and further that a copy of this resolution be tenured to his family and that it forthwith be inscribed upon the permanent minutes of this board. So please join me in that resolution for Dr. Ahmad and his service to the board. Any comments regarding that resolution? And we've sent our condolences to his family, and we offered for his family to be involved in the meeting today, and that just was not possible, but we'll make sure that the sentiments of the board are communicated to him and his family.
Madam Chair, I think the resolution is well done and extremely appropriate.
Thank you. Okay, moving on to item number 3, Mr. Carlton.
Yes, thank you. And again, we're all saddened by Dr. Ahmad's passing. Again, it was unexpected for us. I think we knew that there had been maybe a health issue that had been expressed previously, but it was not to this serious of a nature. So it did take us by surprise. So again, I just want to thank all of you for what you do in service to the people of Texas. For our budget report, I'm not sure if Joey is on here. I don't think he is. He's attending a conference.
I'm here, just no video.
There you are. Okay. All right. Yeah.
Thank you, Brett. Good morning, board members. I'll be brief with this. So budget execution through the end of June, we're projected at 93%. The remaining 7% we have on reserve for end of year projects. So we've got 6 weeks left in the fiscal year. So we're working through those numbers to make sure we spend every penny that was appropriated to us. As far as revenue collections, the agency has collected $32.5 million through the end of June. I'm projecting for the agency to collect just a little bit over what was collected last year. So we're on track with that. There's more information on page 8 that goes into the details and breakdown by revenue type if you're interested in that. And that's all I've got. I'll hand it back to you, Brent.
Thank you. Thank you, Joey. Any questions on our on that budget report? Okay, I know one of the questions that comes to every board's mind is, when are we going to get to have in-person meetings again. So the boardroom that is in this building is still under construction. It is much further along. It originally, I believe, was supposed to be done in September, but it looks like they may be done with the construction piece of it, but the audiovisual piece is not looking very good for being done on time. Same thing here in our room. I mean, you can still see behind us where there's still have some gaps in the walls where we're going to have some technology that's going to eventually be installed here. So the same thing looks like it's taking place downstairs for the main boardroom. Starting in this upcoming fiscal year, we are going to have more money, and money is set aside to start having at least one, maybe two board meetings in person a year for each of the boards. We'll probably still utilize this virtual option as well to some extent, and to start getting, because it has worked out pretty well, and it does make it easier when the public does attend these things. But we're looking forward to getting back to having in-person meetings. We'll shoot for, I believe we have a meeting in November for the PA board. Does that sound right? I think that's the next one. Yeah. So we'll see if we can't do November to have the first in-person meeting for you guys. And it'll be the first one in about 3.5 years or so. So it'll be nice to get back together again, but it's just a little while longer. So also kind of talking about the budget and what we're looking at for next year. Again, we've kind of gone over it some, but now that the budget is official for the state for the next biennium, the medical board did do very well in what we asked for as far as additional funding. We're getting about an extra $14 million or so, which is about getting close to 60% of what we asked for, which is a pretty good result for asking for things from the legislature. We are being able to do a lot when it comes to additional salary increases for staff, additional positions. We've got about 30.5 additional FTEs that are coming to us. A lot of money to help out with scanning of physical documents to make them digital, things to improve our website and to kind of revamp that, things to have more and better access for our licensees. So between improvements for staff, improvements to the building, and improvements for our licensees, I think it was a very successful session when it comes to budgetary items in our legislative appropriations request. And so I do want to thank the staff and the board members and our legislature and the governor for helping us out with that and getting us the resources that we need to continue to make the medical board a great place to work and to be licensed through. Some other things, one of the big items that was passed in the legislature was House Bill 1998. One of the amendments to that is what I mentioned earlier when it came to the funding of Texas PHP. So that is a very big change. 1998 also made other changes in how we do some of our licensing and enforcement. We worked closely with Representative Johnson whenever she contacted us about some ideas for improving the medical board. And so she was very responsive to what we had to say. And I think nearly all of that made it into the final language of House Bill 1998. So overall, it ended up being a very, very helpful bill for us. And so that will go into effect on September 1st, and staff is working through implementing those changes that are coming up. Unfortunately, the PA Compact did not make it across the finish line this time around. So we'll see. I'm sure it'll come up again in the 2025 session. And it's not entirely unexpected. It took the medical compact a few sessions before it made it through. So I think we'll have better luck in 2025. Also, I know there was a discussion about the bill that had to do with allowing unmatched medical school graduates to become PAs. That also did not make it through the legislature. There was another similar bill that also would have taken those individuals in that situation and allowed them to get a physician associate or associate physician designation. And that one also, or sorry, physician graduate, I think is what it was. Physician grad did not make it through. So I'm sure those may come up again next session. But I think when we got to the end of it, the legislator that initially filed the unmatched medical school graduates to become PAs, I think that that individual ended up signing on to the other bill as well. So maybe next session, I'm not sure if we'll see that option come up again. They may just focus on the unmatched medical school graduates to become this kind of different category of physician in Texas. Are there any questions about the legislative session? No? Okay, one other thing then to go over, you have it there in your folder, has to do with our internal audit. This is something that is done every year. It's required by law that some area of the board be audited. And we use an outside auditing agency, Weaver and Tidwell, to do this for us. They've done it the last several years. So it's nothing out of the ordinary. When they were looking at our enforcement process, there were a couple of findings. Again, not unusual whenever you have an audit done, especially for the scope of what they were looking at and such a broad look at the agency. A couple of things that they did identify, nothing that's very concerning for us, a couple of areas to improve. Mostly has to do with not necessarily our processes, but I think one to do with human error of something not being entered incorrectly. Another finding that they did identify, but we were able to address, was access to systems as staff move around, which again is not unusual. They move from one position to another position within the agency. And so access to, when they may need access to one system, they may not need it again when they go to their next position, but sometimes that access is left turned on to help during transitions. So things of that nature that IT is going to help us try to clean up a little bit. But overall, it was a good audit, and we're happy with the results. So happy to take any questions you guys may have on that. Okay, well, I think that covered all of the items that I had for my executive director's report, and happy to take any other questions you guys may have that are outside of those areas.
Okay, very good.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mr. Carlton. That completes item number 3. Moving on, Dr. Brett, are you on the meeting?
Yeah, yes, I'm here. I actually don't have anything for you this time.
Okay, very good. Thank you, Dr. Brett. So that completes item number 4 on the agenda. I do not think we had anyone attend the physician board meeting this last time as a physician assistant liaison to the meeting. If you did, and I overlooked that, I'm sorry. Please speak up now if you were the liaison. If not, that completes item number 5. Ms. Sloan, are you on the call or the meeting?
I don't believe she's going to be on today. She is off. As far as the overall public information update, nothing specific. Again, this is generally where maybe they go into a little more detail about the legislative session and things that we're doing as far as messaging out there and letting licensees and the public know changes that are taking place. But that is basically what the report would have been.
Yeah, very good. One of the things I think that I contemplate when I come down to Austin, since I'm here and present, as I in my conversations with Mr. Carlton and Mr. Palazzola and some of the other staff, I think I'd like to ask you guys as fellow board members, if we see a specific common reoccurring thread, either with some of our ISCs or cases or different things like that, where we feel like whether people are just unaware or perhaps missing through jurisprudence or their training or other professional avenues, the idea that something should not be occurring in their practice or it's a pitfall. I think that's an avenue to potentially educate through the TMB newsletter and potential public relations type things or even on the website. So, I'd ask you guys to contemplate, perhaps ways that we can keep our colleagues out of falling into some of those pitfalls, knowing that we're never going to keep everyone from making mistakes or what have you, but solely that if there's an area that we see that may benefit someone from an educational standpoint, that we use these resources and these tools to do that. So if you guys ever think of something that would be along that vein of thinking, maybe bring it to my attention and or the staff, and I think we can kind of educate our colleagues about those things that we see people falling into commonly. Okay, so that completes item number 6, which would then take us to item number 9, which I do not think that we had anyone present or in that folder, correct?
Correct.
Okay, then item number 10 would be the same. And then item number 11 would be the same, that there was nothing under any of those items, which would then take us to item number 12. Ms. Unterborn?
Yes, this is the report on physician assistant licenses that have been issued by board staff. The list of the licenses that have been issued since the last PA board meeting on March 24th, 2023 are there for everyone to review, and it does include the list of the PAs that will be licensed today. This is just a report. There's no motion needed.
Very good. Thank you. Any questions regarding that report? Okay, hearing none. Ms. Unterborn, would you like to go on to number 13?
Sure. This is a report on the physician assistant licensure process statistics. In Q3 for fiscal year 2022, 330 PA licenses were issued in an average processing time of 7 days. In the current Q3 for fiscal year 2023, 264 PA licenses have been issued in an average processing time of 7 days. And this is just a report, so no motion is needed.
Very good. Any questions for Ms. Unterborn? Okay, thank you very much, Ms. Unterborn, for the work your staff is doing. And that completes item number 13, which would then take us to Ms. Hines for her report on item number 14.
Yes, ma'am. This is just a report on the PA statistics of those licensees who've been canceled or retired or changed to an inactive status during the last quarter. There was a total of 150. Again, it's just a report, no action needed.
Very good. Any questions for Ms. Hines? Okay, so that completes item number 14. Thank you, Ms. Hines. And then moving on to item number 15, Mr. Palazzola.
Certainly, yes. On these are all just reports for you. 15A is the enforcement activity report. It covers all boards, but it also includes the physician assistant statistics. You notice a little bit of a dip during that first COVID year, end of fiscal year 2020, beginning of fiscal year 2021. It seems like you've kind of right-sized again, and you're back to kind of the same numbers we see consistently year over year. So no significant red flags there. The warning letter report, you did have one that was related to how the individual referred to their credentials. I believe it was on their website. I don't remember specifically, but they did get a warning letter for that administrative violation, which they corrected. If we get another complaint of the same matter on the same licensee, they would not be eligible for another warning letter. But other than that, it does result in a dismissal. Item C is the summary of the criminal cases that we are reviewing. These are based on the fingerprint reports. I believe all the physician assistants have now been fingerprinted, and all of I think the last batch of data that we review from that report has been reviewed by Mr. Carlton and the registration staff, and on all those actions have been reviewed. But now all the PAs are in this RAPBAC system, so if there are any arrests or convictions, we learn about it pretty quick. And those numbers are also very steady year over year. Item D is the cases that are over a year old in the litigation department. What you'll notice about those is that I think 5 of the 6 are either being resolved today or are at SOA, and there's just one that we're still in the negotiation phase. So that's also very good and good work on the litigation department and on the investigations department for getting those cases over to litigation timely. That on the report, I think we did have one temporary suspension during this fiscal that just happened a few weeks ago. That's the only one that we've had. And I think that order is going to pop up. It might be down here later in the agenda, but it was just one temporary suspension case. And then you did do a PFD last meeting, but there was no rehearing request filed. So there are no rehearing requests. And unless there are questions on agenda item 15, that would conclude those reports.
Very good. Any questions for Mr. Palazzola? Okay, all right. That completes item number 15. Moving on to item number 16, Dr. Brett. I don't think there was any actionable item under that.
No, nothing on 16 nor on 18, which you're about to hit.
Okay, very good. Thank you. Then that would take us down to item number 20, which did not have anything under it, correct? Which would then take us down to item number 21 with nothing under it, correct? And then we've already dealt with item number 22 and 23. So that would take us to item number 24 with nothing. Under 25, nothing. Under 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, and 31, there were nothing under those items, correct? And then that would take us on to item number 32, which has nothing. And then item number 33, which has nothing. Correct. Okay. So I'd like to entertain once again under item number 34, anyone who's here and available with a need to make a public comment during the meeting. Anyone who's in the meeting room that would like to make a public comment, please come forward now.
Anyone in the audience want to say anything or? No? Okay.
I'm lucky enough to have my husband make the meeting with me today, which is an uncommon thing. So that's what Mr. Carlton was commenting on just now. All right. So if no one is here for the purpose of public comments, that would accomplish number 34. And this is probably one of the most efficient and short agenda for a meeting that we've had in quite some time. I don't think we rushed through anything. I think we adequately managed and addressed everything. I crave in-person meetings. Sadly, I think we have some new board members that came on that have never actually been present, apart from the fact that some live in the Austin area. Yeah, Ms. Shipley. So, I think that it would make our board seem a little more cohesive if we could at least be in proximity of each other. But once again, I commend everyone for their commitment and living up to the charge that we all have to serve the citizens of Texas. It's a very important work, and I know that we all take it very seriously. So would anyone like to add anything to the meeting as we're starting to wrap up? Anybody have any comments or concerns or any board staff issues or things of that nature that somebody would like to speak to? All right, very good. So having no other discussion, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
I move that this board meeting be adjourned.
Thank you, Dr. Hughes. I'll get a second.
I'll second.
Thank you, Dr. Ho. All in favor of adjourning the meeting, say aye.
Aye.
All right. Anybody who wants to try to stay, say nay. Okay. All right. The meeting is adjourned at 10:22. Have a good weekend, everybody.
All right.